Well, they questioned if your team could do it going into the year.
Nobody gave us a chance, man.
Could you play Big Ten football? Are you physical enough for the big boys in the cold weather? And the answer was unequivocally yes. Oregon won a Big Ten traditional football game this weekend in Madison, Wisconsin. Jump around was the Pavlov dog for Dan Lanning and Oregon. They won 16-13. Bit of a dogfight.
Yeah.
A little
Not
shaky.
a bit. That was a lot of a dog. That was a big dog fight.
But Oregon outscores Wisconsin 10-0 in the fourth. Again, no third quarter scoring for the Ducks.
No.
The offense struggled, but the defense is the story and the takeaway, and they went on the road at Madison 16-13.
Yeah, part of the Big Ten thing does also make me roll my eyes. Like that was Oregon Cal in 2010. Teams get tired at the end of the year. You play in a funky game. It
happens. What was that game? 15-10?
15. It was a very similar score, and Cliff Harris returned a punt to save the undefeated season. I had just the vibes of that game in my head as I was watching it this weekend. This was the one that we circled. I mean, I remember talking about this 2 months ago. I remember even talking about this. We did a segment after they beat Ohio State. If they get tripped up, where are they going to get tripped up? This is always the game that we circled. Oregon had to play 8 consecutive conference games. That's something nobody else in the Power Four had to do. It was their third long road trip in the last 5 weeks. The wear and tear is there, man. They don't have their best defensive player. Found out right before the game that Jordan Birch was going to go. We knew Tez wasn't going to be in. Their best offensive weapon. You're out a starting offensive lineman on top of it. All the other nicks and bruises that have built up over the last 2 months of playing consistent football. And you're playing a team in a tough environment that's coming off a bye that this is their season. They need this win in order for Luke Fickell to say, look at that, we're going in the right direction. All their eggs are in this basket to try and get this win. That's a really tough spot. And I knew immediately that this was going to be a weird game and just survive, because the start of this game, for those who didn't watch it at the beginning, there was this narrative out there that Oregon came out slow or not prepared. They were dominant in the first quarter. Wisconsin won the toss, and instead of electing to defer, they said, give us the football. They went 3 plays, -4 yards, and punted it right to you.
Minute 23.
You go right down the field with decent ease before you bog down. Whatever.
Stall.
Okay, whatever. You got a field goal on your opening drive. That's not bad. Wisconsin gets the ball back. 3 plays, -4 yards. They punt it right back to you.
40 seconds.
You then drive all the way down inside the 10-yard line. Hey, look at that. We're moving the ball again. And the pass is a little bit behind low. Gets intercepted. All right, that's not great. Okay, fine. What does Wisconsin do on their third drive? 3 plays, 0 yards, punt it right back to you, and then you have to settle for another field goal.
Yeah.
You physically dominated the entire first quarter. Wisconsin ran a total of 9 plays. You dominated time of possession. You dominated yards. And it was 6-0.
Yeah.
And the second that happened, I thought, just get the hell out of here. Just get out of here with a win. Find a way to survive. You know you're going to be in a dogfight. At that point, that game very easily could have been 10-0, 13-0, 21-0 at the end of the first quarter. If it is, Wisconsin ain't digging out of that hole. And that's what Oregon has done a great job of doing this year. Despite their third quarter woes, they've jumped on teams early and said, all right, now you're going to have to play a different way than maybe you thought coming in. Your game plan's out the window. They couldn't do it because they couldn't finish their drives. Wisconsin was given second life, and they damn near took advantage of it.
10 punts.
10 total
10 punts. We had a punt fest in Madison this weekend. I think if you're to, we have a lot to get to. We got audio from Dan Lanning in the postgame. I pulled a few cuts that I thought stood out from his postgame press conference. We don't have to talk about it very long. I can already kind of sense your animosity or anger building if I bring the topic up. But the fake field goal thing is interesting.
Yes.
It didn't dictate everything. They won the game.
Very, very interesting call.
I think what you saw in Madison, and Lanning will confirm this, the resilient and toughness of the group is for sure a big takeaway. The other takeaway I've had, and I think it's one that Duck fan has been holding on to throughout this journey largely, because this was their closest game since Boise State, right?
Well, Ohio State, but
Ohio
yeah.
State. Okay, yeah.
In terms of an inferior opponent
Yes,
that you should win as a double-digit favorite.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. This is the fear. It is the stalling red zone interception of the offense. It's the offense. The defense is carrying the Duck team this year.
Yeah.
The offense is fun. It's exciting when it's humming. Gabriel's a fun story. It's the Moda Center last night. That's all well and good. The defense is leading this team. You saw the physical nature of Oregon, who they are this year, and who they are, and largely have not kind of been through their journeys in that game at Madison. But when you talk about Oregon and you comp it to all of these teams in college football, that is what is going to eliminate the Ducks in the postseason if they are to be eliminated. It's the offense stalling, settling for threes, or throwing red zone interceptions, right?
I would
We
tend
can
to
agree with
that.
that?
Yeah.
I think if you're identifying a weakness per se, and I know Tez didn't play and Birch didn't play, but it's that. It's kind of this weird, like they move the ball down the field, and then they get to a point, and I don't know what it is, but it stops, and then it's 3.
It's not easy to score in the red zone. You got a shrunken field, and if you can't run the ball dominantly inside the 10-yard line, it's going to be difficult, and that has happened to them at times this year.
It has, and the one thing, too, I kept thinking about, because that second possession, they go right back down the field, and then that weird interception happens.
If he throws it 2 feet forward, you probably score on that play, and it's 10-0.
I
Instead,
know.
it's 2 feet behind him, it's tipped up in the air, and you get an easy interception.
I'm just asking sincerely, is it harder for him to throw in the red zone because of the height stuff and the distance, all that? Is that a weird thing to ask?
I have no clue. Is it a lefty thing? I don't know, where you're throwing to the other side of the field. I don't know. He was a little off.
A little bit, yeah.
To his credit, though, when you had a 4th and 9 with the game on the line, he threw one of the best passes I've seen him throw all year. And that's the blessing and the curse of Dylan Gabriel, is that he's going to have these kind of wonky, what are you doing? What are you looking at? How do you miss that throw? And then 4th and 9, jump arounds playing. Your undefeated season is largely on the line, maybe on that play. And he has to extend, scramble around, and fits it into just a pea-size hole window to Terrence Ferguson for the touchdown catch. I think the alarming takeaway that I have now that this has lingered for a couple of weeks is you desperately, not this coming weekend, the only question is, do they beat Washington by triple digits?
20.5 point
quadruple
favorites.
digits? Is for a bigger game, Big Ten title game, college football playoff game, you need Tez back. They desperately miss Tez in this offense, whether it be in third down situations, his ability to make plays after the catch, his ability to sit down in a soft zone, just the playmaking that he brings and yards after catch. They desperately miss him. And there's times when the passing offense looks fine. I thought it did largely early. They had Evan Stewart a ton early in the game.
Stewart had a good game.
And then it kind of disappeared. I would say 7 of those catches came on their first 2 or 3 drives of the game, and then it was nothing left the rest of the time. And Gabriel has times where he's missing open guys. So they have these ebbs and flows as a passing offense, but the one constant, I think, the last 2 weeks that they have been a little clunky in that regard is no Tez, and they desperately need him back.
It was nice to have Ferguson. He was the one that caught the 4th and 9 pass.
Yes, he also fell down on what should have been a walk-in touchdown on a.
I thought he was hurt for a second, and
I
then
did
they
too.
show the replay, and it was just like, it was almost like one of those, you have a bad dream where you're being chased.
Yeah, and you can't get your feet.
And your feet like fall out, and you're like, son, your legs are numb. You're like,
no, get me out of here. When I was yelling at Gabriel for not running it because it was a 3rd down, they punted on the play, and he could have picked up the 1st down with his legs, but then I saw the replay, and I'm like, well, I can't blame you for throwing that. He was 10 yards behind everybody.
I agree 100% with your takeaway of how much they miss Tez. I think it's not even underrated. I think anybody watching Oregon, what Tez Johnson means as a threat and an actual playmaker, it's quite evident. You mentioned Evan Stewart, 10 catches, 92 yards. He had a lot of those catches at the beginning of the game. Ferguson, 3 catches. He had the big one on 4th and 9. Kenyon Sadiq, I
want more of him because he looks like an animal, but they're not getting in the ball. He's not getting a lot of looks.
Some of that is probably on Kenyon. Holden will give you a game, and then he won't be seen or heard of for 2 weeks. It's a weird thing he does.
Yeah.
Lowe got banged up. Bryant's mainly just your punt guy. There's just not a ton of options, and I know a lot of those players are good football players, but I'm with you 100%.
Not game changer. Like Stewart's a game changer.
Yes.
The rest of them,
I think Ferguson is too. Actually,
he can be.
He can be a game buster. Like his Ohio State game.
Yeah,
his stats didn't necessarily scream off the page, but the catches and when he made them, were massive. Tez is a huge part of what they are, and so to not have Tez Johnson, I think, is showing itself.